Okay. I could summarize all the different sessions, which were excellent. But what I did today actually is I was listening to the different sections. I went and looked up data on Google because I was reflecting on stuff like what does this all mean? So I'm going to give you my key takeaways with some data that wasn't presented today. So one is that the U.S. economy is going to be okay. And I went back and looked at economic growth rates since 2000 with each president, and let me give you them. With George W. Bush, it was 2.4% a year for 8 years, 2000 to 2008. And then Barack Obama, 2.3% a year from 2008 to 2016. And then Donald Trump, 2.3% a year from 2016 to 2020. And then Joe Biden, 2.2% a year from 2020 to 2024. So if we think about what could happen, and I had a Democratic friend tell me just 2 days ago that Donald Trump's going to put the economy into negative growth. Looking at this, it's unlikely. It's just, the U.S. economy sort of chugs on, and the analogy I could almost use is, in presidential elections, the presidential candidates describe themselves as the captain of the boat, but they're really like the water skier behind the boat, right? And the captain of the boat is the vibrant businesses that we hear about here. Okay. And then there's a corollary that we talked a little bit with the excellent sustainability panel, which is friends in the U.S. who are passionate about climate change think, oh my gosh, it's all going to end with Trump. But the economics of renewables are pretty strong, and I would predict that continues. Like wind farms will still be put into Texas, which isn't like a particularly friendly renewable place, and solar arrays, and it's because the economics are so good. Number two. So the first observation from all of today's sessions is breathe in, breathe out. Yes, there's unpredictability, but the U.S. economy will still be a good place for us. Number two is we've had a lot of success in growing specifically New Zealand exports. It's two-way trade, but specifically New Zealand exports. So I went and looked. I heard Christopher say 38% up, and I went and looked at these charts. And in the last 4 years, when our economy has grown sort of 0%, U.S. exports from New Zealand are up 30%. So I mean, our most successful companies, so on average, we're not really growing, but oh my gosh, our most successful companies are really growing trade to the U.S. Actually, a very exciting story, and one I don't know that we've sort of really emphasized it that much. But what this does mean is that we have more at stake on exports and potential tariff risk than we've had before. But it's not like a huge issue, as the Prime Minister mentioned, but it's $1 billion issue. So it's up to $1 billion of value. So the second observation is we're going to be okay, but it is worth New Zealand business constructively engaging with government on this. And so MFAT talked about their market intelligence reports, but I'd also encourage businesses to look at their business association to really constructively engage with government. We have the New Zealand-U.S. Business Council and also American Chamber of Commerce, and we're both going to get geared up to have regular interactions with government. New Zealand business, some of the bigger businesses, AmCham has 400 or 500 members, so we're looking at constructive engagement. And so then the final observation that was just periodically touched on, but again, I reflected on it, is there's a highly uncertain risk, but one that we'll have to watch on geopolitics, and specifically, if New Zealand ever got even temporarily East Asia shut off, like China, Taiwan, Korea, Japan, and you can easily see how it could happen. Insurers would just have to call Fonterra, Silver Fern Farms and say, we won't insure product going up there. We're too worried about geopolitical risk, we won't insure product. And sort of the shipments would stop, but that's a recession. That's like that region in general. And what'll be interesting, and it's both an opportunity but also a risk with Trump, is there's now sort of a block that wasn't there before, sort of the Iran, Russia, China, North Korea block. And we're going to have to see how that's all dealt with. And it could go better or it could go worse. But I would say that's a bigger risk, actually, in terms of magnitude than tariffs. So I've skipped over a lot of rich topics that were discussed here, but that's my 5 minutes of sitting through the conference today and reflecting on things. Over to you, Simon.
Fantastic. Well, that's a hard act to follow. I think it's a fantastic summation and perspective, Jonathan. I mean, really briefly from me, we called this a new era. Oftentimes that'd be hyperbole, but I think that's the reality of what we're in right now. A lot of speakers have talked about it being more complex. That's certainly true. I liked what Vangelis said, that the jungle's growing back. But I think the good news is, whilst we've heard a range of views that have been, pessimistic, optimistic, realistic, the relationship's just going to endure, and Jonathan's really made that point. It's a strong, dynamic economy. I know we've heard from a number of folks about this kind of second biggest trading partner now, the United States, and at a level some of you say, well, that's obvious. I think it's worth dwelling on, though. That hasn't been true. I haven't gone back and checked every year. That hasn't been true for most of our adult lives, right? And what we've got now is this relationship that has all these exciting new areas alongside our traditional mainstays. And I suppose I knew that, but that was really reinforced to me today. And as I say, that's something that's very exciting. What do we do? Well, Jonathan said this as well, but I think all of us, from the NFATs to the ministers, to business associations, NGOs, business, we've got to talk to each other. And from over here and over there, actually we have to position and advocate, and that's going to require quite a lot of effort, actually, and quite a lot of coordination. I think what's also true today is we've just really been treated to a lot of really clever people, I think. From those who've talked highfalutin policy, the trade expertise we've heard from, to I think really great practical advice for your business, actually, at that micro level. And I think of Simon Taylor's presentation, I think what Rob was saying, just really good stuff for us. I just want to thank all of the speakers, but particularly, can I just thank Fran, Tim, the staff, Katie, Grace, and co, the sponsors, and also, I think really important partners, Mike and AmCham, and of course also Fiona and the New Zealand US Council, you really made this a success. It's been a terrific program, incredibly well executed. I've learned a lot, and I'm sure you have as well. Thanks so much.